Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Um, I know it's been a long day, so hopefully, and also we are running behind, so hopefully, I will bring us back in time because I was anyway not planning to talk for long. And hopefully, my session will wake you up. So before I begin, I am Sujata Tibrewala, I work in ByteDance Open Source Program Office with Tina. I work on community development and advocacy for 50 plus ByteDance open source projects. Um, I am at the Linux Foundation Edge Governing Board, and before this, I was at Intel, working on community and as a director at Open Source Alliance within Intel Open Ecosystem, running strategy for in all of Intel open source projects, which was quite a few, more than 1,200. So, fun fact, I started my career as a network software engineer, and I was talking to one of the attendees back in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, which is one of the top institutes of India. I was working on computer vision much before AI was, a thing. Um, and you'll be surprised to know there were no jobs at that time in computer vision because it was just a research thing. And that is what made me move to networking software. And it'll be a long story. But then I'm here back with ByteDance Open Source and talking about AI. When I'm not working, I am running. I'm a long distance runner. I have completed 7 full marathons and yeah, thank you. I'm a loyal SF runner. No prizes for guessing because we stay in Bay Area and SF Marathon is beautiful. And the reason why I'm able to do it because I am an ardent yogi for like now 15 years, I think, and I'm also an artist. So with that, um, let us reset and rewind. So I'll give you guys 2 minutes of meditation. I know everybody's sleeping, so this is a very difficult session. So why don't we close our eyes and take a deep breath? A breath in, a breath out, a deep breath in, a breath out, a breath in, a breath out. And now you can open your eyes. So, why did I do this? Breath is the mechanism which is used for meditation. I don't know if anybody has used a meditation app before. No, only one hand. Can everybody raise their hands? Okay, that's a test. Everybody can raise their hand. Now, who has used a meditation app before? One person still. Okay, I encourage you to find a meditation app and use it, please. All of us are working in tech, and I'm about to also share some bad news, so you will need meditation for that. So, we have been all talking about AI. I'm sure you have heard some versions of this. I'll let you read. By the way, this QR code is my link tree. You will get my LinkedIn connection there, and all the data there that I have put here is from articles that is linked on that link tree as well. So, what IMF says is it will affect 40% of jobs world over. It doesn't mean that it will take over our jobs, but the nature of jobs will change. Okay, so we have to be prepared. And well, we all know about success of ChatGPT, and why? Because it has saved US companies between $50,000 to $75,000 in 2023, or 24% savings, right? And this is why we are all talking about AI today, right? But then there are several problems with AI. Can we list a few problems? AI models are not inclusive. Can I have like somebody in the audience give an example of why AI models are not inclusive, or an example of that?
I mean, example of why?
Why AI models are not inclusive?
Because it has all the data. Right?
Sorry?
It has all the data about all the opinions. Like some might be biased, some might not be biased.
So opinions that the AI models are based on are biased,
Yes.
right? Okay. Any other examples?
Access to content
Access to content.
might be biased as well.
Access to content might be biased as well. Yes, data is the basically the key problem here. The data that most models have are not unbiased. So AI inherently inherits the biases that the data has, right? And the second problem that I care about, and hopefully everybody in this room cares about, is the the environmental impact of AI. The next two bullets, we were talking about OpenAI, right? Data centers today, some of the data centers today consume more electricity than the entire cities in the world. Is this news to anyone here in the room?
No.
Probably not. You would have to be living under a rock if you were not aware of that, right? So, I mean, but then putting the last sentence was like what just blew me off. Training a single large language model can emit as much carbon footprint as 5 cars in their lifetime. So, yeah, we solve one problem and we create another set of problems. And then, but then, what is AI doing? What is the type of problems AI is solving? What's the most popular thing AI is doing? What, like,
Making people look good,
sorry?
like photos, making people.
Making photos, making art, making videos,
Content production.
writing content, writing poetry. But yes,
I found the most useful thing it does is summarize.
sorry,
Summarize.
summarizes.
Like a
Yeah,
long contract or a long article, ask it for the key points or ask it to find something in the contract that might be objectionable.
yeah, right. So summarizing contracts and long articles that humans might find difficult and tedious to read.
Tedious, not difficult, but tedious.
Yeah, in some cases also difficult, like if you're talking about legal contracts, they don't write in English, in my opinion.
Okay, well, that's possible.
Sorry.
I said that is possible.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure you would have seen this image, right? Again, you would have to be living under a rock, right? So I disclosed earlier, I'm an artist, right? So art is something I like to create. I'm sure, like all of us here do something creative outside, like or like listen to poetry, write poetry, listen to books, or write like something, right? This is not what we want AI to do. We want humans should be doing that. What should AI do? AI should do the problems that humans are facing, like summarizing articles and tedious data that we can't ourselves. So why is there a disconnect? Now, this is a statement by Sam Altman. I don't know if any of you have come across this statement. So Sam Altman was in India last year, And he was asked a question that if a startup had 10 million and 10 developers, something like that, could they do something what OpenAI did? And this is what Sam said. He said that is not possible. Yes?
It is not possible, but you can try.
But you can try, yeah. So actually that challenge was taken up by quite a few Indian companies. I think Tech Mahindra was one of them. So basically this is the challenge I am giving to the audience here. Because I see there are a lot of startups, I see there are AI developers. So this room has the capacity to basically challenge what Sam Altman said, and especially because we are all here because we care about open source, right? So today I'm going to talk about a few open source projects that ByteDance is working on. Before, my colleague Ben Hui, she gave a really good lay of the land of AI algorithms, like in the edge, and then I had my colleague earlier talk about I forgot the name of the project now. Auto SE, right? Auto SE, yeah. So I'll talk about some more of them. Now we were talking about so this is like how open source AI is blowing up. Hugging Face has more than 700K models. Llama X, which has been open sourced by Meta, of course, has a flourishing developer community. But then what is a limiting factor is the data that is available for these open source models, which we earlier talked about, right? So the bias in data, inclusivity of these models, that's the thing. So open data, but then work is going on in different organizations, open data libraries in US, European Union. We are working on that. I am working with NIST, the government body as well. So hopefully we'll solve that problem soon. Now, there's one tool which is available to developers. Now, one of the key, everybody knows that large language models, they need big servers and, immense infrastructure, right? So one of the things that can level the playing field is cloud native AI. How many of you agree in the room?
Can you expand on what you mean by cloud?
Yes, so I will expand on it a little bit later. So what is cloud basically? So before that, what is the definition of cloud? Cloud is basically a set of servers and data, storage, compute, that is available to any user which wants to access it, right? And there's a lot of cloud service providers earlier. China Mobile was there earlier. And then we have the Google and AWS and everything, right? And those servers are available cheaply. And many open source projects like Akraino also has cloud servers available. And why has cloud taken off? Because the compute and storage can be scaled up and scaled down very easily. So what if we could run these large language models, the training models, on the cloud servers instead of having to have a monolithic, huge GPU and CPU compute resources? That's what I mean by running AI on cloud native. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just cloud, like, what is
Sorry?
it? I mean, is it not just cloud, like running?
Yeah, it is cloud, but then.
What is the native part? That's all outside.
Oh, what is the native part? I mean, that you don't. Yeah.
Microphone to you. Just leave it here.
I'll take it.
Oh, you have? Okay. Okay.
So this is the, like, architecture that cloud native from, I took this from the Kubernetes website. Kubernetes is actually working on this. Yes.
Sujeta, can I ask a question before you continue?
Yes, please.
Have you thought much about the underlying root cause for why Sam Altman would make that quotation?
Yeah, I think it was more about the infrastructure, the access to
That's right.
infrastructure.
The problem is the GPU. Underneath that, the problem is the need for matrix multiply. So
Sorry?
matrix multiply, so many,
Yes,
so
yes,
fast, such
yes.
a massive, voluminous amount
Yeah,
of
yeah.
matrix multiply. So my question to you would be, in your work on finding this alternative, where is your R&D on an alternative way to train that does not require gradient descent, backpropagation, or they're kind of the same. But if that problem could be solved as a way to train on CPUs, that this whole argument would go away.
Yeah, so,
That's the problem, is people can't afford a startup that goes off and funds themselves with what, let's just say 100 billion. Half of that immediately, according to Jensen's CEO math, half of that is immediately paid to NVIDIA. And they might not even get their GPUs for several months. That's the root cause. That's why you can't compete.
yeah, so basically, so the approach that OpenAI has taken, or like, most of the large language models today are taken, that is the reason why, we can do it on, like, we can't scale it on smaller infrastructure, right? Or like, it requires GPUs. But then-
You can always scale it down, but you can't train fast enough. You can't do trial and error training. You can't have 100 different attempts at a model being trained concurrently because you don't have enough GPUs or CPUs.
Yeah, so there is always an alternate way.
Yeah, but it would
Is
just be,
also, and that is the problem we in the open source need to solve.
yeah, right. So that's back to my original question.
Yeah,
There should be a component in this open source effort, an R&D component,
okay, that is.
find the alternative.
Mhm.
Now, of course, that takes some PhD math level type people, but that's what's needed.
Yeah,
Because
so,
clearly, if you look at evolution, if you look at the human brain, we have nowhere near the energy capacity to support a level of numerical accuracy to do something like matrix multiply or gradient descent. We're running 40 watts in a human brain, and these, NVIDIA's latest rack of, what is it, GB200, that's over a megawatt.
yes, so
There's something wrong with that.
no, so I would argue, so that will go into neurobiology, like, but like,
No, it doesn't. It just, that takes some creative software engineering. But I think
no, so
people,
our software is,
I would like to see people working on that, because if they could solve that problem or even make some promising headway, then the need for these, what is it? I don't know what the price of a GPU, the latest, even an H100, $30-some thousand or $70-some thousand a piece. That's an obstacle, not just here in the US, but around the world.
yeah, no, I agree. So I would argue human brain has more power than, like, in some cases. I'm not saying not everything, like
not compute processing.
Not, so human brain does not function like, in a logical steps.
No, it does not.
It does not. It does
Massively
not.
parallel.
It does a lot of things in a fraction of a second, which if you break it down to logical steps, it will take a lot of steps, but human brain does it anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I can recognize you because I know your face, but it took so many years to teach the computer to recognize your face. When I was working on computer vision, that was a difficult problem to solve, but then it was solved, right? So anyway, that's a, yeah, that's a great point. So yes, so this is the cloud native infrastructure. So sitting on the hardware, the CPUs, GPUs, you have those cloud service providers, and then you have the platforms like, Kubernetes, Azure, etc. And then on the top of that, your ML or AI algorithms can run, and then you have the workloads, your use cases that would be using all of this infrastructure. Now, how is ByteDance placed to solve these problems? And where do our open source projects come from? So this is a data that I took from this article so this is also a little bit dated because it's a 2022 article. So ByteDance products, over 2.5 billion users are using every day. And the products, of course, TikTok, everybody knows. CapCut, how many have experienced CapCut? Okay, younger generation has. Lark, we are using Lark today. Douyin is TikTok equivalent in China. So most of the open source projects, how they come, they start as experimental products within the company. And what ByteDance has something called shared service platform. So every business unit, every function will be using the same product, same technology. In many other companies, for example, I was at Intel, this was not the case. Every business unit functioned as a independent company of their own, but that is not the case here. So then what happens is whatever application or product we are talking about, uh, they're tested very well before they are put out into the open source or into the market. So that hardens them very well, and also it's an efficient way of development. So one of the products that came out of this is Babbitt Multimedia Framework. So it is a cross-platform multimedia video processing framework where AI inference or any algorithm can be hooked into it. It also supports Python, which is one of the most used languages. So here there is a demo. On the left-hand side is a black and white image. And on the right-hand side, so you can't see that it is a high resolution 4K image because it's a very small, GIF here. But imagine that you had your parents' wedding video, which is in low resolution, black and white, and that could be upsampled using AI and created into a high fidelity 4K color video, right? Or any other memory for that matter. Or it could have multiple other applications. Any other applications you could think of? Something like this? Movies, yeah, old movies, definitely. Old classics. Some of them also get destroyed because archival technologies was not that, good on those times. Record keeping, old photographs from 1800s, which has historical interest in the museums. Yes.
Probably be like forensics and crime fighting. I could see it's like a low resolution CCTV camera or something.
Yeah, forensic. Oh wow, that's also another good example. Any others you can think of? Okay, another good demo of that is this. So while in live stream, AI generated images can be interleaved over a live video feed. So for example, a reporter is reporting on some event that happened on some forests in China for an endangered species that we all know, panda, right? But then to make the audience care about the panda or like, put a little bit more of human touch into it, you could interleave it with the image of panda, which AI had generated. So make the news more human friendly. Any example? Any other example you could think of? So this example actually is where BMF libraries were integrated with one of the Hugging Face library. And my one of my colleagues who is unfortunately no longer with ByteDance, right? He's here, but not with ByteDance. He had written an article and that article is linked here. So integrating BMF with Hugging Face. Recommendation system. How many of you are social media addicts? One hand. I'm guilty of it. I had to put time limit on my social media. And why is that? Because the recommendation algorithms are so good. They get personalized, right? So we have actually open sourced our recommendation algorithm. It's called Monolith. So you could go to that GitHub and look at that algorithm and see what you could do with that. Again, what could be done with the recommendation algorithm if you had access to it?
Advertising.
Sorry? Advertising? Okay.
What exactly does it do? I'm in.
Oh, okay. So that's a really good question. So do you watch Netflix? Yes. So Netflix is a really good example. So if you watch one movie, Netflix will recommend you other movies based on what you have watched. So that is content-based recommendation.
Okay.
The collaborative recommendation is like people like you. So you watched a certain type of movies. Other people who watch those type of movies, they like to watch that. So like in Amazon, if you bought something, they'll say, oh, you bought something, somebody who bought that also bought this. So that is collaborative recommendation. Okay, so this is one of the tools that makes the training algorithm run on cloud without any code changes. So this is VE Scale. Again, the GitHub link is there on that link tree. It's an open source project. So you could take any algorithm and what VScale does it abstracts that algorithm on one device and the user doesn't need to worry about it, but then it will parallelize it on multiple devices and it'll run on it. So it makes it easy to debug. It automatically parallelizes it. The model design and parallelism they're separated. So it's easy to debug. In the interest of time, I'll not go into details. This is another tool that is available to you open source. So this makes any kind of data warehouse run on cloud. So data warehouse or OLAP engines are another example of things like that needs huge storage. So what Biconity does is it separates compute and storage, and you can run a huge data warehouse even on S3, some like Amazon servers, a low-cost server. So that again helps you in running your AI algorithms on cloud native. And this is like the graph performance of Biconity versus other algorithms. Now, this is some of the other AI algorithms. This is Magic Boost. So based on a reference image and a motion sequence, a video image can be generated. This is a story create. So based on text, videos and images can be generated. Again, this is an open source project also. And here is the GitHub link of 50 plus open source projects that we have. Some of the open source projects that I talked about, they are not under here. They have their own separate GitHub link, but all of that is there in the link tree. And if you are interested in any of these open source projects, find me. We have a program called ByteDance Innovator Program, and I know we're running out of time, so I'll just briefly talk about it. It's a recognition program for developers outside. I heard a lot of good ideas. We want to hear more about those ideas. Once you are into the program, you get access to our project teams. They'll answer questions. They'll help you in your projects. We'll help you in you becoming successful in whatever work you're doing on case-to-case basis. We also have stipends available. And of course, we like to showcase your work. It's like open source. It's a meritocracy. How much work you put in, that much you get back. So if you put in the work, if you are far along in your project, we would like to showcase you in our events, in our conferences, on our webinars. We keep doing those things. So yeah, would love to hear about you from that. So hopefully today I got you inspired, and I know before me you heard about a lot of great AI open source projects and also about ByteDance open source projects. So hope you'll collaborate with all of them and would work with us in the Innovator program. Thank you.
Straight time every other Thursday evening to answer any questions